This is Steve Adubato. We're in Jersey City, in fact, at St. Peter's University. This is the annual Reentry Conference, the Road to Salvation from Addiction to Employment. We're here with Governor Jim McGreevey, who is the chair of New Jersey Reentry Corporation. Jim, we've talked about these issues many, many times, usually in the studio. This conference, what's it about and why is it so important?
Steve, it's focusing on the reality of addiction. About 75% of our clients are addicted or active in their addiction. And obviously, because of heroin and the fentanyl crisis, it's taken on a new emergent concern. We have 3,200 young people, largely young men, died last year in the state of New Jersey. New Jersey was one of five states in the nation that had the most substantial increase in overdose deaths. So we're looking at best practices in terms of medication-assisted treatment, whether it's Suboxone or Vivitrol, or what we could do, particularly as people come out of treatment, as they come out of jail, they come out of prison, how to sustain them for the long term, for 1 year, 2 years, and 3 years, and then ultimately it's about employment and the wraparound services. So today we're honored to have not only a number of legislators, but Father Greg Boyle, a Jesuit priest, who runs Homeboy Industries, which
down
is
out in Los Angeles, right?
Los Angeles, exactly. Started out in the barrio and the Dorothy Mission, and is now the largest program of its kind in the country, talking about his experiences. But also state legislators talking about expungement, talking about employment opportunities. But before we get people into employment, they have to be stabilized. They have to make sure that whether it's their depression, their anxiety, their addiction, their housing, that they're all addressed. So old school would be, get them a job and God bless and good luck. Now we understand the importance of stabilizing them both mentally, physically, and also in terms of their addiction.
Jim, let me ask you this. It's called the New Jersey Reentry Corporation, but in many ways this is a societal issue across the nation. Actually, as you said, Father Boyle's coming in from Los Angeles. National, societal. What's going on in New Jersey? Is it a model, the model?
Well, I think, I'm proud of the fact that we've got great support from the United States Department of Justice, and also in terms of the state of New Jersey, that a lot of hard work on a bipartisan basis, Governor Christie, Governor Murphy, understanding the importance of working together on employment, on health care, and also some of the legal issues, identification, motor vehicle. And so we think we've put...
Back up, Jim. Identification, motor vehicle, the voting, you got a lot going on there. It's important that people understand some of the quote-unquote obstacles and barriers.
Sure. Well, and in fact, the United States Department of Justice is looking at us as a model on some of these issues, is because when people come out of prison, typically, Steve, all they have is their Department of Corrections identification card. They don't have anything else. And so if I don't have ID, if I don't have, and most people don't have their birth certificate in their left-hand pocket, I can't get emergency assistance. I can't even get into a shelter today. And so what's so critically important is that we provide identification for our clients. We work closely with MVC, we work closely with...
Motor Vehicle Commission?
I'm sorry, Motor Vehicle Commission. We work closely with the Department of Health, but it's so critically important to get people identification. Think of what it is. If you don't have ID today, you can't get any benefits, you can't secure a place in a shelter, you can't secure an apartment, you can't secure a job. And so something that, candidly, I appreciate the question, we all take for granted, but it becomes a major hurdle, a stumbling block for people to be re-engaged in civic society.
What's interesting to me is that there have been some people who have said to me anecdotally when I told them we were doing this, oh, well, that's not my issue. I feel bad for someone who's a family member or someone who's trying to get back into society, who was in prison. But it's not they don't think it's a societal issue. They don't think it's an issue for them. Explain why you believe and many others believe that's just not correct.
Yeah, 1 out of every 32 Americans, 1 out of every 32 Americans is in prison, in jail, on parole or probation, 1 out of every 32. And then when you look at the addiction statistics in the state of New Jersey, it's just sweeping the state. All segments, all racial groups, all ethnic groups, socioeconomic. And so what I would respectfully suggest, people don't think about addiction until it touches your life. I was on the phone with a dear friend and successful union leader, and just describing to me literally yesterday how his nephew was in and out of treatment. And so it happens one family at a time, Stephen. And our whole message is no matter who you are, where you are in the state of New Jersey, If you have a son or daughter, if you have a relative who's in need of treatment, just call New Jersey Reentry. We'll get you into detox within 24 hours. We'll get you into treatment within 24 hours. And so for a family that's, worried about the soccer game and the mortgage and the rent and the cost of milk, they're not thinking, I don't know where to send my son or daughter to detox or how to get them into treatment or what in God's name is medication-assisted treatment. They're worried with daily life, and that's our job. Because we understand the conflation between addiction and imprisonment and how they're so inextricably linked in the state of New Jersey. So we're about saving souls, about treating addiction, and have people returning to healthy, sober lifestyles.
But once again, it's everybody's business in society
It's everybody's business because addiction touches us all. And
even when we think it doesn't?
When it doesn't, because ultimately, in terms of the amount of addiction in the state of New Jersey, the increase, particularly not only in terms of heroin, but the fentanyl. I mean, fentanyl, Stephen, as we've discussed, it's that 4 grains of sand that will kill a young man. And I was at a funeral mass down in Ocean County for a family that lost their second child. I mean, this is a family that you would have never thought would have ever grappled with these issues. I mean, opioid overdose and opioid addiction largely comes out of the majority community because young people get hooked on it through Percocet and Oxycontin, which are all prescription drugs.
White kids in suburbia, or white folks in suburbia.
Yeah, white folks in suburbia. I mean, a lot of the guys with whom I work with personally are like, keep that stuff away from me. The irony is that because the white kids in suburbia first got into their addiction through opioids, namely Percocet and Oxycontin, that's what drives them. And so when they hear that somebody died, they will literally look at that stamp of that heroin, that fentanyl, and they'll chase it. And then they'll take it thinking that they're going to have the latest and greatest high, but they're going to be the lucky ones who don't die. And so sort of the perverse mentality of the addict is, I want the most vitriolic, powerful fentanyl with the illusion that I'm going to live past it. And so what I tell my fellow New Jerseyans is that this is all over. These are our sons and daughters. And the way Stephen or Jim might have drank Jägermeister or done whatever we did in high school and college, kids are doing heroin at parties. I mean, we had a group of clients where 3 kids died at the same party. And so, when it comes to a family, that's when it's the real pain, that's when the real aching happens, and our goal is to make sure we're prepared. We've linked all the services, we've linked addiction treatment, we've linked housing, we've linked sober housing, and we've put them on a path to a healthy life.
Thank you, Jim. Good luck today.
No, thanks so much, Steve. Thanks for being here.
State of Affairs with Steve Adubato is a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 30 years of broadcast excellence. Funding for this edition of State of Affairs with Steve Adubato has been provided by the Turrell Fund, supporting Right from the Start NJ, the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, Guarini Institute for Government and Leadership at St. Peter's University, the law firm of Gibbons, P.C., the Fidelco Group, and by International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 825. Promotional support provided by NorthJersey.com and Local IQ, and by Insider NJ.